Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I just want to thank all my old subscribers and welcome my new subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. So right now my garden is just exploding. There is so many things that are coming ripe in the garden. Every morning I go out, there is something that needs to be picked and used up. So this morning, I think I got enough cucumbers to make sweet relish, and this is what I got out of the garden. So I washed my cucumbers really good and trimmed off the ends, and I'm using this little handy dandy gadget I got from Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a slap chop or whatever it is. It just makes the job a lot easier, and there it is. So I'm just cutting up my cucumbers and I'm measuring out just to make sure I have enough, and I'm using the Bowl Complete Book of Home Preserving. Now this recipe calls for 8 cups of chopped peeled cucumbers. So I left my peel on because we like a bit of a crunch to our relish. Yeah, so I'm leaving my peels on. But I discovered that I have more than enough for 2 batches. And I'm going to try to seed save. That's why I got my seeds in a bowl there. So let's see how much cucumbers I actually end up with. So the recipe also said you can either put the seeds in or take the seeds out. I prefer to take them out. And I do that with a spoon. It just makes it a lot quicker. So now on to measuring out the rest of my ingredients. I have my onions here. Here are my sweet peppers. I'm using red and green. Everything but the onions is from the garden. So there are a couple of different ones in there. I have my pink Himalayan sea salt. That's what I use. And it calls for celery seeds and mustard seeds. I didn't have enough of either one, so I used powder. I hope it's okay. I'm pretty sure it will be. But I measured out what I needed for my double batches that I'm doing. So here I have all my cucumbers cut up, diced up, and into my stock pot, my biggest stock pot that I have. And I'm going to put it on an ice bath for several hours to draw out the water. So I want to do that in an ice bath, and the best way I could figure was in my kitchen sink. So now I'm going to add in my onions, and then I'm going to add in all my peppers. I'm basically going to mix everything up together just to draw out any water. And then I'm going to just mix it up. Boy, does it look pretty. Those colors look so pretty together. And then I'm going to add in my salt. And that's going to help draw out the water from the cucumbers and the rest of the veggies before I can go ahead and finish processing them. So I'm just stirring everything up, just making sure everything's incorporated. And then I'm going to put in my salt. I know it looks like a lot, but remember, I am doing a double batch. The white salt you're seeing is just a pickling salt. I didn't have enough of the pink Himalayan sea salt open, so I just used a pickling salt for the measurement from what was in the bowl book. And then I switched to another recipe, which I'm going to put down in the description box because I followed that one a lot more closely than the one in the bowl book, because I didn't use a couple, like the celery it called for. I didn't use that. So I'm just going to let this sit here for a few hours in this ice bath in my kitchen sink, and I'm going to cover it, and I'll come back to it later on when it's ready to be drained, and I'll show you how much liquid I get out of it. So it's been 3 hours since I put my veggies into the ice bath with the salt, and as you can see, it did produce quite a bit of liquid. So what I'm going to do now is strain it. I'm going to use my rice colander, and I'm just going to strain my veggies of that salted liquid. And once I do that, I'm going to rinse it really well, making sure I wash off as much of that salt as I possibly can, because I don't want that salt to go into my final product. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just get everything into this rice colander and then rinse it really, really well. I did eventually get a spoon in there and make sure everything got rinsed really well, because how I was doing it, I'm using filtered water. It was just hitting the tops, and I wanted to make sure everything underneath was getting rinsed of that salt. So once I got everything rinsed, I'm going to set a plate on it to help with the draining process. And then I'm going to just sit a weight on it just to help drain any excess of the liquid that is in it from the rinsing comes out, and I have a drier product as I can possibly get. So now I've got my stock pot back on the stove. I'm going to mix my brine or liquid. I'm putting in my apple cider vinegar. And again, remember, I am making a, depending on what recipe you follow, a double batch or a 4 times batch. The one I'm going to put down in the description box, it was actually 4 times those measurements that I have in the description box. So just bear that in mind. It might look like a lot. It is, because I'm doing it 4 times, because I had that many cucumbers come out of my garden and I didn't want them to go to waste. So I've got my apple cider vinegar in, my sugar, and I'm just going to mix that till it dissolves. And then I'll add all those herbs and spices that I measured out earlier. My ground, or you can use whole mustard seeds and celery seeds. I didn't have all of it to measure out, so I use ground, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. So everything's in, and I'm just going to bring this to a boil and then time it for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to add my veg, bring it back to a boil, and time it for 10 minutes. So I have my sterilized jars in my oven. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't do this, but I haven't had a problem with it, and I've seen where it can be great, because I have a lot of jars I want to sterilize at one time. So all my herbs and everything have come to a boil, and I caught it before it boiled over because I had the top on it. You probably shouldn't have done that, but anyway, so my veggies are all drained, as you can see, and I'm now going to add them to my brine. And here they are in my brine, and I'm going to bring this up to boil, and I'm going to let it boil for 10 minutes. And I'm going to stir it occasionally while it's boiling for that 10 minutes. So my mixture has come to a boil. I've timed it for 10 minutes, and it's ready to go into the jars. And I have my jars here hot and ready to receive the liquid. I will let my relish rest for about 10 minutes before I start jarring it up. And here I am jarring it up. And I will say the smell of this is just amazing. I can't explain it exactly, but it's amazing. And here are the jars. I probably should have used something else to debubble with that hole in the handle, but it seemed to work out pretty good because I did break my other tool and I need to get another one. So I'm just debubbling, making sure I debubble. And I'm going to make sure I wipe my rims really good because there is sugar in this mix. And I don't want any of that getting on the rim and inhibiting the seals of the lid. So I'm making sure I use white vinegar, and I'm just using a paper towel. So I'll go my lids and my rings fingertip tight and into my stock pot, which I'm using for a water bath canner. Anything can be a water bath canner as long as you can put an inch of water above the top of the jars. So here they are out the next day, and they look awesome. I like this size for relish because we can pull one out and use it for a recipe and whatever. I did have a mishap. This one, I don't know what happened. At first I thought I didn't put the ring on, but it seemed to have worked itself off and spilt all over my water bath canner. So I'm not sure what happened in this case, but it does happen. But I'm so happy I got some relish out of that batch. I got 13 half pints, and this is what my canner looked like the first load. There was craziness going on. And this is what it looked like up close. So the water's in it, so I'll just throw it to the compost. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos.